India debates. I'm Rahul Shivshankar. Narendra Modi has blogged a full 12 years after the Gujarat carnage to say that the event shook him to the core. In specific, Modi sketched a vivid tapestry of adjectives: grief, sadness, misery, pain, anguish, agony, to describe in his own words the absolute emptiness he felt on witnessing such inhumanity. It is the first time, as Modi says, he is sharing the harrowing ordeal he felt at a personal level. It didn't take long for Modi acolytes to come out and praise the Chief Minister for expressing his genuine remorse, for reaching out to the minorities and embracing inclusiveness. And it didn't take long for his baiters in the Congress and the so-called secular bloc to pan him on two accounts. First, that it is incredulous that it has taken 12 years for Modi to feel the pain of the victims, and second, that his expression of regret falls short of an absolute apology. But it is another little detail in the blog that has excited much debate. The detail is a sentence which reads, and I quote, "The end brings back memories of the beginning." This quote, many feels, reveals a vital insight into Modi's thinking that for the BJP's prime ministerial candidate, Thursday's court order releasing him from the stain of the Gujarat riots is a clean sheet, an end in itself, closure if you like. Is this truly the case? Those are some of the big questions we are asking tonight of our panel. Joining us, Mr. Nalin Kohli, National Spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Dr. Balchandra Mungekar, National Spokesperson of the Congress, Mr. Vinod Sharma, Political Editor of the Hindustan Times, Mr. Ashok Malik, Senior Journalist, Dr. Ajay Alok, Spokesperson of the JDU. Also joining us in just a few moments will be Ms. Shabnam Lone, Senior Law and Social Activist. Let me first begin with Mr. Nalin Kohli. Mr. Nalin Kohli, if you're there with us and if you can hear me, well, I'm told that we may not be patched through right now, but let me just ask you, Mr. Ashok Malik, this blog that has come out, do you think it will boost Narendra Modi's acceptability politically and among minorities?
There are three things here, Rahul. Number one, this blog has to be seen in conjunction with yesterday's court order accepting the SIT report in the Gulbarga and other big cases in Gujarat. If that court order had gone the other way, and if the court had upheld the appeal of Mrs. Jaffrey and her supporters, or if the court order had not been there at all, then today's blog would not have had the same import or the same meaning as it has had after that blog, after that court order, I'm so sorry. So after the court order, it's certainly, the court order is an exoneration of sorts, because obviously there's a legal process which still has to be got through right up to the Supreme Court, but there's an exoneration of sorts, and Mr. Modi is justified in feeling vindicated and putting forward what he considers his closure statement. Second, I have no doubt that a number of India's minorities, Muslim minorities in particular, do continue to have misgivings about Mr. Modi. These misgivings may be of a lower intensity today than they were in 2002, but they're still there. Let us not run away from that. I think between the court order and today's blog, what will happen is sections of Hindus and vast sections of people who don't vote on any denominational lines, who have changed their opinion on Mr. Modi in the past year or two, especially as the UPA government has declined in credibility, may find it easier to vote for him. And I think that's the what he is aiming at.
Okay, Mr. Kohli, do you believe Mr. Modi wouldn't have written this blog had this court order not been in his favor?
I really can't speak on hypothesis, and why speak on it? I mean, exactly what has happened. There has been a court order, there has been a clean sheet, and of course Mr. Modi has written the blog. And I think the important point here is that Mr. Modi has spoken as a human being. I think the way he has been vilified over the last 12 years, people are just forgetting that Mr. Modi is a human being just like you, me, or anyone else. And I think it takes extraordinary resolve for a human being to be under such an onslaught, whereas Mr. Jaitley in his today Facebook post has pointed out, the Chief Justice of this country called him Nero, and an editor of our newspaper called him a mass murderer. and to point out a kangaroo courts were held across. Internationally, a whole vilification program happened. Allah happened, and Mr. Modi, which of course the court order, the investigation of the SIT, all of it has shown he has not erred in any way. He did what was absolutely possible. He did beyond it also wherever possible, and he has kept it to himself. He never spoke, but what he did is, he showed through Sadbhavana and 37 days of that Sadbhavana that he cares for unity. Now Mr. Modi's detractors will never be satisfied. If Mr. Modi were to even bring down the moon and bring it on the earth, they will still have reason to believe that we have done something wrong. I think the fact is that we should accept it on its face value, because so far whatever has been said about Mr. Modi has never been accepted or spoken on facts. They have been spoken about opinions. I think time is to move on. This country requires to look at the serious problems that we are facing, and I think we need to focus on solutions rather than in vilifying Mr. Modi and in finding adjectives to demonize him.
But timing is important. Can we disregard that, especially when it comes to politics, Mr. Vinod Sharma?
Well, Nalin said that let's go by face value. I think he actually means let's go by Facebook value and let's go by blog value. Gujarat is a place that gave Mahatma Gandhi, who staged the Nokhali March, stayed there. Gujarat gave us Sardar Patel. He would have handled this situation differently. Mr. Modi has come up with this blog at a time when he's trying to own up, appropriate, in my view, the legacy of Sardar Patel. I would have much appreciated had Mr. Modi, rather than this writing this blog, which in my view, very humbly, is an exercise in obfuscation, had gone to Johapura and made certain statements in the middle of the people. He has never visited since 2002. That would have been a more solid gesture, and that would have made me rethink about him. But I think that a person who since 2002 hasn't even owned a vicarious responsibility. I'm not saying that he is involved or not involved. I'm only saying as Chief Minister, he owed it to the people of Gujarat and the people of India, a gesture that reassured them that it would never happen in Gujarat again, and that should have come in 2002 itself. Yeah. Now, if that had come in, not in one sec, if that had come in 2002 itself, his claim today that nothing has happened in Gujarat since 2002 would have held much water.
Okay.
It doesn't hold any water today.
Madam, could you respond to that? Gesture, as gestures go, is an empty one, this one.
Two comments. No, 2 points. Mr. Modi is a man of fewer words and he's a man of action. I think what's important is, has Gujarat seen any riots after 2002? If we want to go on facts, and I'm sorry to bring it up because it has to now be brought up, in 85, 86, 87, 90, 92, 93, there have been riots consistently in Gujarat, and these are the big ones. Not to forget 1969. I mean, there have been 440 riots in Gujarat in the first 30 years. So I think we need to look at action. Mr. Modi is entitled as a human being to share his thoughts once at least. After the SIT, we are forgetting he's the first person. He was interrogated for 9 hours. Despite the most stringent of investigation, despite every attempt through all the legal processes otherwise, through a media campaign, through a vilification program, everything, even through conspiracy, as in the case of Sanjeev Bhatt and Shakti Singh Goyal of Congress working together. So I think your track record in ensuring Gujarat is developing and there are no riots, how can you run over that down?
So you're saying that the bar will continuously be raised higher as far as Mr. Modi is concerned. Mr. Mundekar, is that really the case? That there is no satisfying the Congress party or anyone else who stands in judgment of Mr. Modi?
Let us keep Congress party for time being out of the picture.
No, it's very much in the picture.
Let me tell you one thing that I perfectly agree with Vinod Sharma ji.
Why are you speaking here?
No. Let us keep for the guy. Let me tell you. Let us try to be as dispassionate as. No, you just keep quiet now. What you speaking, just laughing stock you made. You have said BJP representative that you say after 2002 there was no communal riot. In a particular communal riot, I killed 1 lakh people, and then I said that within the next 20 years I did not kill anything. It is just fooling oneself. That's why I'm not talking to you about you. You represent your case. I perfectly agree with Vinod Sharma ji. Because
hold on. What do you mean 1 lakh people? After Hitler, nobody has done that or a genocide in Bosnia. What kind of language are you saying? 1 lakh people, you killed in India or what? You are Hitler. I think it's condemnable. 1 lakh people should be killed. What kind of language are you saying? It's a fascist mentality.
You are Mr. You are. No, you are.
Have you forgotten Mr. Rajiv Gandhi? Are you forgetting Muzaffarnagar? What are you talking about?
No, just. You killed Gandhi. You don't have any moral right. You killed Gandhi. Can you please not speak on fact to Vikram Godse?
He killed Gandhi. Can you produce me a court order that says that Mr. Modi is
my dear friend.
So what are you speaking about, Mr. Mangekar? Can you please come down and talk about that?
Forget about the court order.
Gentlemen, let's get down to the basics.
What do you say?
Forget about court order. You don't know law in this
Gandhi. No, the point is, you ask him, you ask
Hindu community.
Just a minute.
Gentlemen, to some facts. Leave the objective out, Mr. Mangekar. 12 years we are taking half of this.
Okay, 1 second. Mr. Mangekar, just very quickly. 1 minute.
I will tell you,
Mr. Mangekar, one quick question to you. And let's keep it focused.
I will comment in 3 seconds.
Okay, you do that. But let me ask my question. Do you believe...
I only think...
No, 1 minute. Do you believe...
Do you believe that...
Do you agree with your party line? 1 minute. Mr. Mangekar, do you believe with your party line that Mr. Modi should have gone beyond a mere expression of remorse, as you suggest, and issued an outright apology, and would that suffice? Or would the Congress still change the goalpost?
No, my point is, Congress accuses Mr. Modi absolutely of dishonesty that began with Vajpayee's statement, instant reaction that Modi ne Raj Dharma ka palan nahi kiya. Today people are voting, Congress people, these people are voting in Gujarat, Muslim particularly, because of security. They don't want to take any kind of risk. Total number of Gujarat MLAs.
No, you're not answering my question.
MLAs there. A relative or BJP representative asked me, out of the total number of MLAs, how many Gujarat MLAs coming from Muslim? And the last point is, even today, please listen, even today, there are number of people tendered apology for Godhra on behalf of Mr. Modi, including Rajnath Singh ji, but then Modi personally did not tender single apology even today. And had the court judgment not have been in favor, he would not have written this block. That's why I asked Modi,
and that's
more opportunist.
I want to come back to the question. Okay, I want to come back to the question.
I would like to come in for a minute, please.
Okay, can I just ask a question of Mr. Malik, and I'll come back to you, Nalin Kohli. Mr. Ashok
I want to come back, absolutely no. I just...
1 second.
It's in continuation. It's in continuation to what Mr. Mangekar is saying.
Okay, very quickly make it.
Let's finish the point here. Then you can continue on to the next point, Rahul.
Okay.
I just want to make it very clear. Absolutely. I just want to say this. What is this whole talk here you are doing? I mean, you want to play Hindu-Muslim politics in this country in the 21st century? I mean, do we not have real problems after 10 years of UP and misrule? We don't have corruption in this country. We don't have crime in this country.
Okay,
we don't even have rights in Congress party. Although they have nothing to say.
Okay, gentlemen, 1 minute, please. Let's talk about this gesture.
1 minute, please. What a picture situation. What am I talking about? You please worry about your performance. You please not worrying about Mr. Modi.
Mr. Mangekar, Mr. Kohli, please just 1 second, please. Hold your fire. Hold your fire.
Give me a minute.
Gentlemen, no. Just hold your fire. I need to broaden the discussion.
Only to
Gentlemen, I need to broaden the discussion. Please hold fire. Please. Mr. Malik, let's just talk about the blog as a gesture. Let's just talk about this blog as a gesture for a few moments. You know, he writes, and I want to quote, I have only one earnest prayer to God, that never again should such cruelly unfortunate days come in the lives of any person, society, state or nation. This is what Mr. Modi has written. But these cruelly unfortunate days, Mr. Malik, visit us again and again. Just look to Muzaffarnagar. I want to ask you, as someone on this panel raised a question, that it would have been better had Mr. Modi perhaps, if he's a man of action, etc., if he had visited, tweeted, blogged about this most recent carnage, maybe he would have been able to project himself to the minorities better.
You know, the problem is, Rahul, our politics is so cynical today, and from all sides, all parties. I'm not just isolating one party. If Mr. Modi had commented on the Muzaffarnagar situation, people would have read politics, and correctly read politics into that as well. The SP would have, the Congress would have. So rather than looking for gimmicks or symbolism, I think there are 2 points we need to consider. If Mr. Modi has administrative responsibility of the violence in 2002 by virtue of being Chief Minister then, and he certainly does have administrative responsibility, then as he says in his blog, perhaps he deserves some credit for the fact that Gujarat has not seen violence for the past 10 years. And I hope it never sees violence. But if it has not seen violence for the past 10 years, perhaps we need to study why that has happened and whether Mr. Modi deserves at least part of the credit. Second, those who don't like Mr. Modi and don't embrace his politics have every right to oppose him and will continue to oppose him blog on my blog. Those who supported Mr. Modi in 2002 and later will continue to support him. But there is an India in the middle. There are people who perhaps voted for the Congress in the UP in 2009 under the assumption of a certain form of governance and economic growth, which has been belied. These are the people who have started discussing Modi as an option in the past year or two. We have to accept that the conversation about the man in these sections has changed. And perhaps this blog, and more than this blog, yesterday's court verdict, the court decision, will help them or push some of them to
actually... It's very interesting that we keep coming back to the court verdict. That is what Mr. Modi's assumption is. Yes, the court verdict is very important, because if this blog had come in the absence of the court verdict, it would not have had the import it does. Okay, but does the court verdict, represent an end in itself? Because Mr. Modi writes, and I want to bring in Mr. Vinod Sharma and Dr. Ajay Alok and Shabnam Lone on this point. Mr. Modi writes that the end brings back memories of the beginning. Now obviously, for Mr. Modi, the court verdict yesterday is a complete end in itself. It means that he's been completely absolved of the stain of Godhra. Dr. Ajay Alok, would you agree with this?
No, Rahul, by the end he meant the end of the blog. And it's good that dictionaries are being revisited again after 12 long years. That's good. That's one thing that is really good. And second thing I would like to ask, why this blog was not written when the SIT report came? Because the similar SIT report was accepted by the lower court, which exonerates him today. And since he knows the system, he knows the judiciary, he knows that by the time, even if the High Court rejects this, and if the appeal is taken, it will take more than 6 months and the Lok Sabha polls will be gone. So this is the best time to just push on his blog. I wonder again one thing, there's a question to Nalin, that the country is surrounded by the Snoopgate controversy for the last 3 days. I have been sitting on your panel and discussing, and on other channels also. Mr. Nalin would also have been doing the same. Why no mention of the Snoopgate? Why no mention of the Muzaffarnagar? Is this what we are looking at the prime ministerial candidate? I will say this is rather nothing, just a whitewash. And he is remembering things after 12 long years, and he doesn't remember things which is happening in day-to-day things. He doesn't remember Muzaffarnagar, he doesn't remember anything, but good, the whole long dictionary has been revisited. And let's see what happens in the future. Many more of these kind of blogs you will come to see in the future.
Go ahead.
I'd like to go and just point out, Mr. Ajay Alok might do better advising his own party leader. We haven't heard from Mr. Nitish Kumar about the death of 23 children in his own state.
I have asked
the reason why a terrorist. Let me finish my point, Mr. Alok. Let me finish my point, Mr. Alok. I didn't interrupt you.
Let him finish.
No, let me finish my point. I will finish my point first.
Let him finish.
1 minute, let me finish my point, Mr. Alok. I will not allow you to interrupt me. So the point I'm saying is, I will answer that also, and I will do the whole thing. I don't shy away from answering questions, nor do I interrupt him. The point I'm saying is that Mr. Nitish Kumar never even considered it fit that the Bihar police should go ahead and interrogate a prime terrorist who's caught within his own state. Not to mention that the Home Ministry of a sympathetic Congress party today is concerned about what's happening to law and order and in terms of Naxal violence in Bihar. Now on Snoopgate, the last hasn't been heard yet. There is an inquiry commission that is happening there. Let the facts come out there, and I assure you, Mr. Alok, on this program, we will come back here and I'd like to see what is the status you'll have when the full facts are out.
Respond to that, Dr. Ajay Lok. And I want to bring, I would like to say, there's another advice for you also. You should rather start preparing for the answers after 6 months when the High Court accepts this appeal. You should rather be prepared to answer about the Snoopgate scandal when the truth are revealed in the open. What about then? You're always in the habit of accusing others without answering your own deeds. But Mr. Shahzad, by the way, NIA has secular block, and the Bihar police has done a credible job. No need for more comments. Secular block, the so-called secular block, can it stand in judgment today after all the events that have transpired?
No, nobody's standing in judgment.
No, I think they are.
No, I think that people are standing in skepticism, in introspection, in trying to with a sense of inquiry. There is a man who wants to be the Prime Minister of India. Don't I have, as a citizen of India, don't other people have a right as citizens of India to put him under a magnifying glass and probe him on issues of great sensitivity to this country? I am, for a moment, I have been consistently critical of Mr. Modi, not because I despise Mr. Modi, because I love my sense of inquiry. And I think that media is not doing enough to ask questions of Mr. Modi. No, but on key issues. Don't blame the media, sir. Don't blame the media. I'm media myself. I'm media myself. I just want to say, is the Congress doing enough to ask questions of its own chief minister? I just want to ask you a question. Two wrongs do not make a right. And if they are not answering questions, they are answerable for not doing it. And I am not for a moment holding a brief for them. I am here on your invitation to discuss Mr. Modi's block. And I am going to limit myself to that. I am not the least impressed by this exercise in verbosity. It is a great exercise in obfuscation. What is said in this blog? Tell me to which I should react. Which should assure me that here is a man who is wanting to make a clean breast of it. Please, for God's sake, we are not against Mr. Modi the person. We are for this country's right to assess a substitute to a government which has lost credibility. Will we not be granted that right? And when we exercise that right, will we be told that other people